Hello, YouTube! I'm back! And yes, I know I haven't been making videos for time, but I'm back at least temporarily because let's be real here. Where there is stupidity, where there is ignorance, especially willful ignorance, and where there are people lying to further political and or personal agendas, I will be there. I decided that the video I would come back with is a response to Laci Green's video titled False Rape Accusations? With two question marks. And the reason I decided to respond to this video is because it was sent to me on Facebook by this feminist friend of mine. And to me, this highlights a topic I've wanted to discuss for a long time, namely false rape accusations. To me, it highlights a lot of the problems I have with modern day feminists. Laci Green is but one of many that I have discussed this topic and many others at length with, and I've encountered this exact same mentality time and time again, and to be quite honest, not only is it very frustrating to deal with, but beyond that, it is a very dangerous mentality. And I think it's about time we called it out for what it is. Pure, unadulterated, triple X bullshit. With that out of the way, let's dance.
Hey internet, question. Have you ever worried that someone was lying about rape?
Well, yeah, given that the Jan Gomeshi case, which happened right here in Canada not too long ago, I wouldn't be surprised if people, especially men, didn't ask questions about the way society views the claims of rape victims. In fact, I would be more troubled if people didn't question the status quo. And to be honest, I'm glad that people are at least somewhat starting to open the discussion regarding rape claims and false rape accusations.
Every single time a woman comes forward about having been abused by a beloved movie star, musician, TV star, YouTubers, that star's fans immediately accuse her of lying.
Of course, fans are going to defend their celebrities, otherwise they wouldn't be fans. And isn't it interesting that you and other feminists like you are so willing to slap a slanderous accusation onto a man and believe an alleged victim's word without any evidence, but you are going to hate on the fact that fans are willing to believe the celebrity's word without any evidence? Kinda hypocritical, don't you think?
There are men's groups online that claim that women lie about rape 90% of the time. A sheriff in Idaho very recently claimed that they don't need a better system for rape kits which collect evidence because most victims are liars.
My problem isn't with the rate of false accusations, although some may think differently. My problem is that they happen, and they happen because of failings of the criminal justice system to protect both the accused and the alleged victim. And this happened because a whole bunch of politically motivated social justice warriors and PC-minded idiots reformed the criminal justice system in multiple ways, from lowering the preponderance of evidence to this whole listen and believe bullshit. And as a result of that, innocent people suffer. And not only that, but the criminal justice system fails to adequately compensate those who have been falsely accused, and fails to punish those who falsely accuse people of doing these things. That's my problem.
And I mean, look, couldn't you or me or anybody in the world just make up a rape for attention to get revenge out of jealousy, as Toby Turner's mom posted on Facebook? Yeah, you could totally do that. But would you do that? And how often does that actually happen?
How disingenuous is it of you to literally list off 3 possible reasons why someone could possibly falsely accuse someone of rape, and you have the nerve to say, well, how often does that happen? It's not how often it can happen, Laci. It's the fact that it can happen. It's the fact that the criminal justice system can be twisted to suit the needs of malicious people. Horrible, evil people that are willing to ruin others' lives just for the sake of financial gain or out of spite. And if that doesn't bother you, Laci, then you are truly a piece of shit.
Other crimes, like say theft, they hover around 10% false reports. And even that 2 to 8% statistic is deceptive. It includes reports where someone accidentally identified the wrong person, reports that are thrown out because of inconsistent details, but it is a well-known fact amongst victimologists that trauma affects your memory. And that 2 to 8% includes survivors who recanted. Someone could take it back because they were lying, sure, but much more commonly, they take it back because they're being pressured to take it back.
Insert citation here.
Or because they've decided they'd rather just not deal with it. So what does this mean? It means that malicious, actually false reports and allegations are pretty rare.
So let's deal with each one of those points one by one. Misidentification. Yeah, that's kind of a big problem if you misidentified the person that was allegedly, raping you. I know trauma messes with you, and yes, that is a legitimate point of contention, but it is an equal point of contention to suggest that if you cannot adequately identify your attacker, then that should be considered a false report, and you should be held accountable for it. As for remembering the facts of the case, I'm about to say something very controversial and probably misogynistic, okay? But hear me out. I think it's the job of the alleged rape victim to remember and adequately supply the police with the details regarding the crime that happened. I know it's crazy, right? It's so misogynistic for me to say that, considering that every other crime requires the victim to describe what happened to them as accurately as possible. As for recanted or redacted allegations, it doesn't matter why the person recanted their rape accusation. If they did, then by all intents and purposes, in the eyes of the law, there is no crime, and therefore no one can be punished for it. That's kind of an important thing to list under false accusations, don't you think?
Yet, doubting someone, calling them a liar when they come forward, is extremely common.
Can you please show me evidence for this? Because every single time there's a rape allegation, I swear the mainstream media 99% of the time takes the side of the alleged victim. Like, you have the Jen Gomeshi case, you have the UVA rape scandal, you have the Duke Lacrosse scandal, you have that mattress girl, I don't know what the fuck her name is anymore, but you have that case. Like, where are these imaginary media groups that these feminists keep talking about that take the side of the rapist or the alleged rapist? Because I haven't seen these stories. I haven't seen mainstream media take the side of the alleged rapist even once.
Many of the reasons why we're inclined to doubt someone revolve around rape myths, myths about victims, and myths about gender.
Actually, the reason I don't believe rape survivors, in huge fucking quotation marks by the way, is because I don't know if they are rape survivors. I don't know who's telling the truth and who's not because I wasn't there. I don't have the facts. And the only thing that I can say at that point in time is that I have to remain neutral. Don't reach conclusions before thoroughly examining all the evidence. As a skeptic, I thought you'd know that.
One, most perpetrators aren't greasy, creepy guys who hang out in the shadows. They're just regular people in our lives. When fans, friends, family, coworkers find out that someone that they know and love did something terrible, it can be really hard to grapple with and accept, and instead, they choose to deny it. That halo effect around a perpetrator can be so strong that you can have cases like Cosby's where nearly 60 women come forward and report, and people still don't believe that anything happened.
In a court of law, quality of evidence is a lot better than quantity, meaning it doesn't matter if 6 people or 600 people came out against Bill Cosby. If 600 people provide horrible eyewitness testimony that can't link Cosby to the allegations, then the case is just going to be dismissed. Now, I know that the idea of quality versus quantity might be difficult for you to grasp, Laci, given that the quality of your logic in these videos certainly doesn't measure up to the quantity of the videos that you've been producing. Just saying.
Sometimes the perpetrator even goes so far as to say, "I didn't do it." They're lying. This affirms people who don't want to believe that the sexual assault happened. There are a lot of people, particularly in the States, who believe that in order for a rape to be real, you have to have reported it.
Now, I know that there are a lot of rapes that go underreported. I know that there are a lot of crimes in general that go underreported. But in terms of the law, keywords here, if it hasn't been reported, then the police can't do anything about it. Which begs the question, is this some metaphysical feminist philosophy I'm not familiar with? Rapes that have not been reported to the police should somehow be investigated and taken seriously by the criminal justice system? Like, what?
And in order for that report to be true, a court must convict them as guilty. Now, in reality, about 68% of victims of sexual crimes don't report, and only 2% of rapists ever see a day in jail.
This is such dishonest horseshit. 2% of rapists spend a day in jail? Yeah, fucking right. Like 2% of accused rapists, maybe, I believe that, but there's a very big difference between accused rapists and convicted rapists. One went through the investigation, and the other does not. And the fact that you don't bother to point out whether these are accused rapists or convicted rapists goes to show that you don't even understand the very stats you are trying to present.
Does that mean that 98% of people are just lying?
That's not to say that the people who reported them are liars to begin with. It just means there isn't enough evidence to corroborate their claim.
No, it means that our courts aren't arbiters of truth, and they're not always adequately equipped to handle sexual crimes.
The fuck?
Then there are myths about how a real victim would act. In reality, there's no one response to sexual assault. Different people handle it in lots of different ways.
If there is no way to prove them wrong, then by definition their claims are unfalsifiable. And we have no use for unfalsifiable claims in court.
Lastly, one of the sneakiest and I think most pervasive reasons why people don't believe survivors is that most survivors are women. There are many subconscious sexist beliefs that we learn all throughout our lives that come in and inform our opinions. That women lie a lot, we're not trustworthy, we're manipulative.
No, I don't think all women are untrustworthy or liars or manipulative. Only feminists.
False reports are illegal, and they're typically taken pretty seriously when they surface. It's really, really important to talk about them, because ultimately, in this fight, we're fighting for justice, for everyone. So we need to pay attention in the rare moments that this happens to address them, to better understand them, and we do a whole lot of talking about false reports.
Well, that's, again, quite funny and quite ironic, Laci, considering you've been deleting comments off of your own videos. And not just this video, but many other videos. So it seems you don't really want the conversation about false accusations to continue.
False reports are something that worries you. Know that statistically, you're on the side of reason and justice and truth to believe someone who comes forward.
You take out men in that context, and you put in, black people or Hispanic people, and congratulations, you've just justified racial profiling. You fucking racist.
So to April Fletcher and any survivor who finds the strength to come forward on YouTube or beyond, I believe you. I believe you.
I believe you.
The scariest thing about Laci's video is that she is not alone in her sentiments, and that within mainstream media this is becoming more and more prevalent. And what she and others like her don't understand is that due process works in both ways. No, we don't want to protect rapists, we don't want to protect murderers, but we have to establish that the people accused of these crimes are actually guilty of the crimes to begin with. And that these processes, criminal trial, the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, the right to counsel, these things exist for a reason. Because we don't want to turn into the monsters that we are trying to fight against. And the whole listen and believe idea that Laci and others like her are trying to propagate has never been nor ever will be part of an effective legal system. What she's advocating for, what all modern Tumblrite feminists are advocating for, is not justice. It's vigilantism. It's the new age of the Salem witch trials. But instead of crying witch, they cry rapist. May the truth always be heard. Peace.